My name's Terry Powley. I'm the chair of the Save Avery Hill Winter Garden campaign group, and I'm joined on the platform by John Webb, and John has been very much the convener and secretary and driver of the campaign overall. And Nigel Fletcher is the ward councillor for Eltham South, and he's been very active within the campaign group as well. It's over 2 years since the Save the Avery Hill Winter Garden campaign organised its last public meeting, and the group felt it timely to organise another one to report back on developments in relation to the future of the Winter Garden and to prepare for the planning application which will be submitted to the council connected with the building of a new school on the site and what the ramifications of that will be. We did invite councillors and officers from the Royal Borough of Greenwich to come tonight, and we invited Clive Efford MP to come, and we invited Gary Herbert, who's the Department for Education's project director, to come. But this is also half-term week, so it wasn't necessarily a good sort of week to choose because a number of those people are unable to be here because of half-term. And Councillor Danny Thorpe, leader of the council, Councillor Miranda Williams, who's the cabinet lead for culture, leisure and the voluntary sector, have other prior commitments, and Katrina Delaney, who's the Deputy Chief Executive of the Council, also is unable to be here tonight. But Katrina has given me a statement which I'll read out later. Clive Efford MP was fully intending to come, but last week he was told that he was under a 3-line whip to be in the House of Commons tonight for reasons I don't need to spell out to you. But Clive has also sent me a statement which I'll read out at the end of my presentation tonight. But we do very much value the support that you've demonstrated by attending the meeting tonight. Your interest and support may stem from a whole number of factors. You may be a friend of the park and you sort of feel that the Winter Garden has always been a marvellous monument, if you like, to Colonel North and his developments. You may have been a former student of the Avery Hill College of Education, or Woolwich Polytechnic, or indeed the University of Greenwich. Or you may be a local resident who has been a regular visitor to the Winter Garden over the years and have taken your children and even your grandchildren, dare I say there. You know, it's been an important feature, if you like, of your social and family lives. Or you may have a particular historical interest in the Winter Garden as a fine example of a conservatory, second only in size to Kew Gardens itself. What I want to do now in setting the scene is to give an overview of what's happened since our last public meeting on the 27th of July 2017. 2 years ago, we met to ponder the disappointing news that the University of Greenwich was intending to sell the mansion site at Avery Hill, throwing into doubt the future of the Winter Garden. And equally disturbing was the news that the university had abandoned its bid to the Heritage Lottery Fund to restore and renovate the Winter Garden and to link it in an integrated and ceremonial corridor to the historic parts of the mansion site, the picture gallery, the sculpture gallery, the foyer and the entrance portico. At this stage, the council had not really begun to grapple with the implications of the sale for the future of the Winter Garden, maintaining that it was a matter primarily for the university. But the public meeting that we held 2 years ago did set in motion a number of activities by the campaign group to raise the profile of the Winter Garden and the debate about its future. A petition was launched and a petition signing event was held in Patty Place on the 9th of September 2017, and the petition quickly attracted over 5,000 signatures. The petition was then presented to the council at a full council meeting on the 18th of October 2017. And also at that meeting, the council adopted a motion, agreed unusually by all parties, on the future of the Avery Hill Winter Garden and the mansion. And that motion read, "Council notes public concern over the future of the Winter Garden and mansion following the decision of the University of Greenwich to vacate the site in 2018. Council believes this unique and listed heritage asset must be protected and restored with the revival of the bid to the Heritage Lottery Fund forming part of any redevelopment, and proper involvement of the local community in the future of the site. Council has long recognised the existence of 3 education covenants on the site and expects that an education tenant would be part of any redevelopment. Moreover, the council notes that the leader of the council is requesting a meeting with the university, the Winter Garden campaign lead and others to push the case to relaunch a new heritage lottery bid aimed at ensuring that the future of this hidden gem is assured. We also submitted 2 public questions asking the Council to ensure the upkeep of the maintenance of the Winter Garden and to insist that the Winter Garden remained open to the public after the University vacated the site. The Council was right in replying that the University had the ultimate responsibility of selling the site and maintaining it in the interim, but I did stress at the same Council meeting that the Council had a role to play in 4 important respects. Firstly, as custodian of the historical legacy of the Royal Borough of Greenwich. Secondly, as the planning authority for any development on the site, approving, modifying or rejecting any applications put to it. Thirdly, as a potential acquirer of the Winter Garden as a major cultural asset. And fourthly, as guarantor of the Winter Garden if it remained unsold when the University leaves the site. The efforts to involve the Council in finding a solution to the problem began to pay off. In January 2018, Councillor Danny Thorpe, the then Deputy Leader of the Council, convened a meeting with representatives of the University of Greenwich, Clive Efford, and I was invited to attend 2 meetings as a rep of the campaign group. And the Deputy Leader exerted considerable pressure on the University to make a significant financial contribution to the future of the Winter Garden. It was also around this time got the papers out of order there, but it was around this time that it emerged that the Education and Skills Funding Agency had expressed an active interest in buying the mentioned site for educational purposes and had made an offer to the University of Greenwich. Things went rather quiet after these 2 breakthroughs, and nothing seemed to be happening at all during the whole course of 2018. So at the end of that year, in December 2018, the campaign group submitted a question to the leader of the council at a council meeting asking for an update on any developments in the sale of the Avery Hill Mansion site and the safeguarding of the Winter Garden. The question elicited the following response. The University remain the owners of the Winter Garden site, and therefore the obligations upon them remain. I can assure you that the Council is having continued discussions with the University with the aim of safeguarding the Winter Garden. At this stage, I cannot provide further information as this is a commercial negotiation, and to do so would fetter the Council's position. The campaign group also sought to ascertain at this stage whether the new owner, the Education and Skills Funding Agency, would be prepared to accept public access to the listed parts of the mansion site as envisaged in the University's original bid to the Heritage Lottery Fund. Negotiations both between the ESFA and the University over the sale of the site and between the University and the Royal Borough of Greenwich over the reversion of the Winter Garden to the ownership of the borough dragged on into this year. On the 6th of June 2019, John Webb, Laurie Baker and I met Gary Herbert, the DFE project director, to gain some idea of the department's plans for a boys' secondary school on the site. We also used the occasion to press the case for public access to and community use of the historic parts of the mansion site, given that in the future the Winter Garden would be owned initially by the council, subsequently perhaps by a trust, and the mansion heritage assets would be owned by the ESFA and leased to the Harris Academy. Gary Herbert was receptive to this idea, and John Webb and I hope to meet him again early in the new year to learn more of the firmer and more detailed feasibility plans for the school and how the picture gallery and related areas can be accessible to the public within the new arrangements. Over this period, John and I have had several meetings with Len Duval of the Greater London Authority to help facilitate the dialogue with the Council, to explore the possibility of the Winter Garden coming under the wing of the Greenwich Heritage Trust, which he chairs, and to consider the viability of other trust options for the management and operation of the Winter Garden in the future. Len is in the audience tonight, and we welcome him, and I'm sure he'll want to contribute at some stage to our deliberations. I'd also like to say that two of the ward councillors, Nigel Fletcher and Pat Greenwell in the front here, have also lobbied articulately, actively and constantly within the corridors of power at the town hall to keep active, if you like, the achievement of the campaign's objectives. The other key event of this year was the council's decision to launch a consultation on the future of the Winter Garden at the Parks Fest event at Avery Hill Park on the 14th of July. Leaflets at the council stand confirmed that the Winter Garden would be reverting back to council ownership. And the leaflet said this: "We are currently in negotiations with the University of Greenwich to bring the Winter Garden back into council ownership and would like your views to help inform our negotiations. Please give us your ideas to help us restore the building to its former glory and transform it into a sustainable community venue. We want to shape the plans so that the Winter Garden is well used and residents can play an active part in transforming and running this local landmark." We understand that 1,500 responses were made to this consultation, and the council is now analysing those responses and will be holding another public event to share its proposed way forward. I think this may be within the coming few months, so we'll let you know when that meeting takes place, because that'll be an important stage, if you like, in the development of ideas for the future. The campaign made its own response based on three headings. The first was saving the Winter Garden. The second was continuing links between the historic mansion site and the Winter Garden itself. And the third heading was the impact of the proposed school on the heritage of the historic mansion site and the integrity of the park. So I think it's fair to say in conclusion that we have made real and substantial progress since July 2017. The council has, as we requested, pledged to take ownership of the Winter Garden. It has persuaded the university, as we urged, to make a significant financial contribution out of the profits from its sale of the site to support the restoration and development of the Winter Garden. We have made the council aware of the importance we attach to preserving public access to and community use of the listed heritage assets of the mansion site. And we have elicited an initial sympathetic response from the Department for Education to our request for access and usage. These are markers, and we will need to sort of push forward on those fronts when, in the new year, when a planning application is likely to come before the council. We now need to consider the impact of the proposed school on the heritage of the mansion site, on Avery Hill Park, and indeed on access to the park. The implications of the new development will need to be taken up vigorously when the planning application comes before the council. That's the overview, a sort of timeline, if you like, of everything that's happened between July 2017 and now. We obviously want to discuss all of those three issues: the future of the Winter Garden, the links with the historic site, the impact of the school on the park, the mansion site, the surrounding area. And I'll open that up to discussion in a few moments. But before I do that, I would just like to read out the statement, first of all, from Clive Efford. Clive says this: "I apologise for not being able to attend tonight's meeting. As much as I enjoy working with the local community on issues like this, I'm sure that everyone will appreciate with such important matters before Parliament, my place on this occasion is in Westminster. Let me state at the outset that all my efforts on this matter have been focused on the future of the Winter Garden and the gallery, to ensure that they are accessible to the public and to protect our valuable open spaces from too much development. Avery Hill Park has conceded a great deal to the university in the last 25 years, and I was not prepared to tolerate building housing on metropolitan open land. I argued from the outset for the continued use of Avery Hill for education use. My proposal was to move the sixth form of Crown Woods across the road to enable the school to expand. This would have enabled the continued use of the existing buildings, thus minimising the need for a major rebuild and giving value for public money. It would have enabled Crown Woods to expand and remove the need for a second school to be opened directly opposite the existing school. I've been involved in some of the discussions between the Council and Greenwich University over the past 4 years since the university announced it was leaving the mansion site. Throughout these discussions, I was delighted that the Council took a strong line to secure the future of the Winter Garden. They were very critical of the University's management of the Winter Garden. The Council had a condition survey commissioned, which resulted in the University having to carry out repairs that otherwise may never have happened. It is not possible to erase what has happened to the Winter Garden in the recent past, but we are now in a place where we can look forward to securing it for the future, working with the Council. The Council's uncompromising stance with the University has resulted in a large sum of money being secured, which will go a long way towards funding the Winter Garden and the gallery in the future. It is vital that we ensure the maximum public access to the gallery and Winter Garden throughout the year. It is a hidden gem and will attract visitors to the area. It could form part of a heritage trail that leads from the Mansion House past the Conduit Head, the Orangery, and on down to the Palace or Tudor Barn. I know the Council is eager to work with the community to preserve these important architectural and cultural heritage assets, and I will continue to play my part in that as I have done throughout. As everyone knows, I'm always available to discuss this and other issues, so if anyone wants to contact me, please do not hesitate to do so. That's from Clive Efford then. This is a statement that conveyed an email to me that came from Katrina Delaney, who is the Deputy Chief Executive of the Royal Borough of Greenwich. And Katrina writes this: "The Council is committed to working with local residents and groups, as well as experts, in bringing heritage assets back into sustainable use. And the report is currently with finance and legal teams to enable us to use the outcome of our earlier consultation to move forward with further engagement with all of these groups. The sale is not expected to be completed for some months, but please be assured that we are developing a plan for how we go forward." So, I mean, I think the sale has almost gone through, but there's obviously I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed, and hopefully at some point in the new year, that sale will be, a concrete matter.